Hello, learners. Hope you are keeping well. Welcome to grade 9 geography. And today we actually going to deal with the concept of development. Okay, so sit back, enjoy the lesson. Okay, let me just get my highlighter first. All right. And remember, the main concept is development. Right, so let's get going. Of course, in this lesson, we're going to look at the meaning of development, not just the definition. Learners, from the outset, I must say, just knowing a definition and not understanding all the other aspects that apply to the main concept, we don't have a proper understanding. And also, more important, if you're going to do geography in the future, in grade 11, you covered this concept in depth. Beside that, for our country, development is such an important thing with the high rate of unemployment, etc. So it's various purposes. Understanding for your grade 9, uh, year and exams and assessment, understanding for a higher grade like grade 11, and your understanding in terms of the significance of South Africa. And maybe one day you will have a huge input with regards to development, etc. Okay, we're also going to look at economic, social, and environmental aspects related to development. Okay, so let's start with the content. All right. Now, we need to look at number one. What is development? And let me move my face a little here. All right. Let's look at the United Nations program, how it defines it. Leading a long, healthy lives, to be knowledgeable. Okay, it talks about the people to have access to resources. That means you must have all the resources, whether it's housing, whether it's your health care, whether it's your education, your piped water. Piped water means coming through the taps. You have money, and that means you are employed. All right. All these aspects, when we look even with the country, all right, that would regard development. When all its people start to get all these needs, that is development. All right. So we need all that for a decent standard of living and being able to participate in the life of the community. We be able to participate with people around us. We have a decent standard of living. We know that if we get overall development, not everybody is going to be the same. Not everybody is going to have a BMW. You understand? No, people may have a car. Okay, people may have a house. Not everybody will have a triple story house. But we look at development according to the United Nations. Now, this is quite a long explanation, learners. So let's put it simply. And this one, if you write it, you will be fine. So let's not worry so much. But I thought it's necessary to give you the full explanation according to the United Nations. Let's take a simple one. Simply put, development is the process of change that affects people's lives. The process of change that affects people's lives. And of course, affecting people's lives in a positive way. That, as we mentioned, they can have a decent standard of living. Okay, so it may involve the improvement of quality of life. All right, the improvement of quality of life. That's development. Means you're going further, you're getting more positive in terms of your lifestyle, etc. Okay, so that's what we looked. All right, and another important thing, and I'm going to talk about it just now a little more, perceived by people undergoing change. What do we mean by perceived? Looked at by people. Development is different to different people. All right. Like, for instance, if we look at this is an informal settlement, not a squatter camp learners. That was the old terminology. This is a settlement and it's informal. All right. Now, if these people move to this low cost housing, it's not a huge house, but it's a formal settlement. All right. A formal settlement. Then that is development for them. Do you understand? They have developed, and imagine all these people have that. Wouldn't we then actually improve people's lives, quality of lives, etc., of a country, of an area, of the world? All right, this is what we're looking at. We hate people being in poverty and things like that. All right, that's an important thing. I'm going to take this point a little further, okay, at a later stage. Okay, so let's look at there's various aspects that we will look at, learners, various aspects. One is economic aspect, okay, which deals with the wealth of the country, economic, all right, the wealth of the country, all right. So it focuses on improving economic, political, and social well-being of its people. When we say economic, we're talking about the wealth of the country. All right. Now, how is it related to social well being? Of course, the political, where you have a democracy, where people are treated equally. All right. Where not like in apartheid, where the uh, black communities of our country were treated badly compared to white communities. We want all that out. And then we talk about the social well being. So there is an economic component here, because if you have money, if your country makes money, then it can look after the people even better. Am I right, learners? They'll have money to put up nice hospitals, nice schools. All right, we hope we can get air conditioning in our classes. Eh? It'll be nice. All right, I'm just kidding. But all those things will change. Okay, so that is what we talk about social well being. There's a social component in this economic. We make the money, we create the wealth, and then we come to improving the quality of life. Again, developing the people. Look at an example here. When a country begins to produce more products and services, it increases its overall wealth. You understand? Because now what they can do, they sell more, and sometimes they even sell to other countries, which are known as exports. Okay, and they bring in more money, bringing in those dollars, etc. Okay, isn't that good development? More money, you understand, for improving the people's lives. Okay, so economic aspect is of great significance. Unfortunately, you cannot do a lot if you don't have the money. I promise you, this is only water, eh? All right. So you have to have the money to improve the social well being of the people. Okay, so that's economic wealth, money, etc. That improves the quality of life of the people. Just linking it to development, improving quality of life. Okay, let's go on. The social aspect. All right. This is your direct investing in the people in order to improve their well being and quality of life. You understand? This is directly now. Obviously, it's linked to economic, where we make the money, etc., and we actually then use the money to improve the quality of life of the people. Okay, so this is now telling us about how we improving the quality of life, investing in people to improve their well-being and quality of life. All right, so let's look at some of the examples, like providing the basic needs like food, shelter, clothing. These are basic needs. And if you can supply them to all the people in a region or a country, that is good, solid development. And it's social development. All right. You can see here, this is your education, eh? Can you see it? All right. And I've got it in our list here. These young people are enjoying themselves. It seems like a play area, more like a preschool, eh? This is something good. And of course, there's other things. All right. Now there's more money for improving social well-being. Okay. If there is more money, rather. Okay. Then we have more of the social issues, like we get employment. Right. Employment is an economic and a social factor. Okay, an economic and a social factor, because it economic, more money, more work, more taxes. Social, employment, people being employed, you understand, now they can earn money, all right, and improve their families conditions. Then you talk about health. These are some of the examples: hospitals, etc. It is social, because if people are sick and if they don't have proper medical care, they get more sick and sometimes even die. Okay, so that's not good for people. So we have good health facilities, etc. So this is a social aspect. All right. Then there's one more we're going to look at, is the environmental aspect. All right. Learners, this is also important. Okay. We focus on limiting the damage to the environment. We limit it. But remember, I can't say we stop damaging the environment. Unfortunately, it cannot happen. Okay, when you get older and decide to get married and have your 20 children or more, I don't know, you will build a house, you will remove the natural vegetation. All right, so we can't stop damaging the environment, but we must limit it. Okay, we must try our best to save the environment. All right, but we can't totally stop it, because we need to encourage development. We need to create more industries. We need to do so many things in order to cut down unemployment, to build things for people like schools, hospitals, etc. All right. So we need to do all that. Okay. But at least focus on how we can reduce the impact. So we looked at sustainable use of resources. This, what does this mean, sustainable? Use resources in a way at a rate that does not lead to the long-term damage of the environment, or the resources run out. Like coal can run out. You understand? It takes too long for coal to form again. All right? It can run out. All right, so we don't want to do that. And also, we need to preserve the environment, the air, the land, the water surfaces. We need to preserve them, learners. Very, very important. All right, for future generations. We don't want this tragedy, as it indicated here, to happen. Like an example down here could be encourage more solar energy instead of energy from coal. There's the solar panels, yeah? Can you see it? All right. And we're getting electricity from there. There is some damage because we have to make the solar panels. But imagine the reduction of coal. Coal can be saved, the pollution coming from coal and damaging it. This is what we talk about: sustainable use of resources. Okay, so we looked at three aspects, eh? And this is what we're going to focus on throughout our discussion on development. All right, is the economic aspect, the social aspect, and the environmental aspect. Okay, right. Let's go on. Now I'm going to look at some important points. We just don't look at the concept of development and then that's it. We need to look a little more around it because we could get questions around development. You understand? Not just define development and that's half your paper. We get it. And it's important to look at it because these things exist in our environment and it affects us. You understand? Especially when mom and dad say, but we cannot afford this or that or that. You understand? Unfortunately, we have to do without it. We want development. We want to get better quality of lives. So let's look at some of the important uh, points regarding this. All right. The first thing we need to realize that development is a complex issue and is seen differently by people. Eh? Now let's look at this. This could be a less economically developed country, all right, where maybe people don't have many homes and suddenly they live in informal settlements and suddenly you build low cost housing for them. It may not be the biggest house, but it's a formal house. And people in developing or less economically developed countries, you understand, for them, this is huge development. Massive, it's a massive celebration from living in an informal settlement of shacks and then moving into this. All right. Whereas maybe in a most economically developed country or developed country, you understand, uh, having computers, you understand, for every learner is development. Can you see the difference? It's perceived differently. So, as I said here, people in less economically developed countries or developing countries may consider proper housing for all as a major development. Whereas people in more economically developed countries or your developed countries may see technology for all. Example, laptops for all his learners and internet as a major development. Can you see it? It changes accordingly. So people perceive development differently. You understand? If you never had a car in your house and your dad gets a car, okay, and it looks like mine, okay, I don't want to describe mine further, you are excited. It doesn't have to be a BMW. It can be a car like mine. You understand? Which is fine. Okay, so that can be an issue. All right, that's an important point to note. Another point to note is effective use of resources and technology brings about development. You understand? Brings about development. All right. Now, let's look at some things down here before we look at the explanation. We have more manufacturing. All right. More manufacturing. Okay, that is using our resources. We use our iron ore, we make iron and steel, we make cars, we create technology, and we have more people working who can afford more things. You understand? There are more taxes for the government to build more hospitals, more schools. You understand? All these things come out. So, effective use of our resources, just selling our resources, coal or gold or whatever, we take it, we produce. What a good thing for development. As I said, more employment, more taxes, more money to build hospitals, schools, roads. You understand? All facilities. So, using resources and technology to manufacture, and in this case cars, will create employment with more people being able to improve their quality of life, and then more taxes for government to improve facilities, and in this case I gave you health and education. Okay, so very important for development. All right. Now, another one, positive economic growth plays an important part in development. All right, what is economic growth? Economic growth is necessary in all sectors. Primary, which could example your farming, secondary example your manufacturing, tertiary example your services, Okay, people selling goods. All right, that's a service. Your banks is a service. As a teacher, it's a service. All right, that we're teaching. Okay, all those ones come in, and then of course, quaternary. That's your information technology and your research, your computers. All right. All those things and people researching stuff. So, positive economic growth in all this will be important in all sectors. All right. This is what we call different sectors, economic sectors or economic activities. And you'll do this even in further detail as you go up. You understand? So I gave you some examples of each one, like primary is farming, secondary is manufacturing, tertiary is services, and quaternary is information technology and research. What does it do? It increases employment because now there's more of it, especially in the tertiary and the secondary where we're manufacturing stuff. Okay, increase in manufacturing could result in exporting, means selling finished goods to other countries at higher prices. Imagine you sell your iron and steel, okay, that's in bars to other countries. All right, it may make some money for us, all right? But imagine you take that, use the technology and that resource and make cars and sell it. Whoa, we make far more money coming in for the development of our country. All right. So because this now, brings a lot of money into the country, which is known as foreign exchange, means money coming in. Imagine $1 million. I didn't see the figures today, could be more than 16, 17 million rand when it's converted from dollars to rands. Brilliant. All right. So that's another important aspect. Then we talk. I do apologize for the water drinking today, learners. All right. But I talk a lot, so I do need some. So more taxes for better infrastructure. Can you see here? Roads, etc., get built. Okay. The basic, what's infrastructure? The basic physical and organizational structures. Example, your roads, your power supplies, which we need. All right, and at this stage, we're having serious problems with ESCOM and load shedding, etc. Okay, needed for the operation of society and enterprise. We all need it. We all need roads. We all need proper buildings. We all need power supply, whether it's the business, the manufacturer, or just the people of the country. Okay, let's go on. Right. Another importance, all right, social development, investing in the people, all right, in order to improve their quality of life. We mentioned that, eh? We mentioned that again, and I'm emphasizing it under the importance again. All right, I'm emphasizing it again. All right, in a different perspective now, of course, we covered employment, education, health. All right, we have to look at so many things. We brought it from the social aspect. We covered a few. You understand? But we go further here. That there's so many things like recreation down here. You understand? Which is also important. Okay. Social support services, right? Like the psychological services that are available, okay, in these areas. And I lift my face up, you can see they even give you a support number here if you're ill. These things are all needed, all right, to make people more better in their lifestyles and more comfortable in their living. We even talk about sanitation, okay, proper toilet facilities, etc., which don't have spreads a lot of diseases. Okay. And then another one, managing our natural resources properly, which allow for it to be available in the future years. And here I used coal as a non-renewable resource. Okay, I know I'm repeating myself, but I want to make another emphasis on this. Okay, a natural substance that is not replenished with the speed at which it is consumed. All right, it takes quicker to be used up than to be produced again in the ground. Okay, so we need to manage our natural resources. If it runs out, we're going to have a major electricity problem or shortage. So this coal, I'm not stopping you from using it in your braais, produces this with ESCOM, okay, where the power supply comes through. All right. And we know we're going to have a problem if we don't preserve our natural resources. And under environmental aspect, I brought in the thing of environmentally friendly energies, solar, wind, you understand? All right. Water, energy, okay, all those things can be used. All right. Now, I want to bring this again that the level of development is not same across the world. Richer countries have greater development and poorer countries have less development. All right? You understand? We're trying to up the poorer countries. The richer countries are advancing at a very fast rate. Not that the poorer countries are not, but the conditions are totally different. And this is an example of a rich family. Can you see all the recreation, etc.? The fancy room. Okay. This is you there. Okay. And this is the poorer country. All right. I'm just teasing. Okay, and this is me and my family. I'm a teacher, so this is where we live. I'm just kidding. All right, so this is your richer, developed countries. Not that everybody now is living like that. And this is an example of your poorer countries. You must note, another point to note in terms of development. All right, that if I look at this and say this is a full example of a poorer country, then I am wrong. In the poorer countries, there is or there are rich people. Okay, but the quality or the inequalities that exist between a smaller group of very rich and a large group of very poor people is massive. Okay, is massive. All right, here you may not find that in developed countries that big amount. Yes, they are very rich. You understand? But when we look at the low category in terms of economic, okay, in terms of money, in terms of living conditions, all right, it's not such a great difference as the poorer countries. Okay. Uh, Another one is government policy can affect development positively or negatively. All right. So now we look here, and later on you'll be doing further about this. I'm giving you a little bit of historical geography. All right. Example, during the apartheid, black people's development in South Africa was limited. All right, it was limited. The black communities were deprived of so many things, and their development was limited. They couldn't do certain things. They couldn't follow certain careers. They couldn't go to certain schools that were more privileged. Their schools were in a poor state, their living conditions in a poor state. So, with lack of proper education and opportunities, it didn't allow them to actually go through and live proper lives to develop. You understand? During that period. This is one of the famous examples of Hector Peterson. All right, during those times where people were treated badly and not being allowed to develop. So economic sanctions were placed on South Africa. South Africa had limited investment, and especially they didn't invest in the black communities as much. And of course, Democracy changed it. So what happens now? Democracy, everybody was treated the same. You understand? Where people were loud and we got everybody on the same level with all different ideas. Remember, every community has very intelligent people, and I'm proud to be a South African. We've got intelligent people across the racial barrier, across the religious, cultural barrier. We are brilliant people, and to work together, we're going to create more opportunities. All right. And of course, sanctions were lifted. People were trading with South Africa. All right. And also now the abilities of all people were coming through. Instead of bringing people from overseas to do skilled jobs in our country, we now had our people learning. We now have more and more of our people doing skilled jobs. They're getting trained across all barriers. You understand? Getting trained, and we're bringing out our talents, improving our quality of life, and developing. All right, and developing. All right, so this also brings in development. There's been a change from apartheid to democracy. Brilliant. And I hope we go further. There are still some problems, eh? Let's not get into it now, but I hope we take the true meaning of democracy and learners, you are the future. You make sure democracy is properly implemented by all involved. And we can have even a better South Africa, which is developed. Okay. Another point to note, it's so many people that will play their part in development, including you, okay, that play their part in development. It's not just government. So the organizations, institutions that play an important role in development. What examples? Of course, government departments, your finance, your health departments, all have to play. They have to research, look at the needs of people, allocate money like the finance. They allocate money for so much for education, so much for health, which brings about development and brings about the well-being of the learners, of course, that's you, and the people of the country. All right. We get others, non-governmental organizations. These are non-profit organizations. They are citizen-based, that functions independently from the government, the non-governmental organizations. They actually help a lot. They can be religious institutions. They can just be fund like Doctors Without Borders, etc. They come and help people. All right, they don't do it for just a profit. These are great people. All right, they support human rights, advocate improved health, or encourage political participation. They want us to actively participate so that we can make changes. We can tell government, hey, we need this, we need that. All right. So all these things, they improve the health, etc. Then we have regional economic communities like the Southern African Development Community, that's SADC. All right. And they now work together. Yeah, all these Southern African countries, South Africa, Mozambique, Botswana, all of them work together in order to achieve development, peace, security, and economic growth. Okay. And it also looks at alleviating poverty. All right. Enhance standard and quality of life of people in Southern Africa. In short, to make the people's lives better. Okay. And now they work as a whole unit. Let's get the whole region up. That is also development. Can you see how many aspects? All right. We look at private companies who play their part. All those businesses, etc. They come in, they train people, they offer monies. You understand? Sponsorships, etc., to uplift their work with government, and of course, the responsible citizens. There you are, all fighting for better quality of life. Can you see with the little placards, etc.? This is what they want. Okay, so another important point on that. Okay, learners. Right. Uh, I know it's went through a long period of looking at the concept of development. All right, but we do need a proper understanding. We do need to learn about the factors around it. Okay, so let's do a little activity. I chose the one that I have on the first slide, the introductory slide. All right, now I'm looking at what is this showing me. It's showing me down here, and this sometimes you can get a little thing. I called it uh, the sketch. Some people call it the cartoon. Anything. All right. So let's look at what it's showing here. Okay, it's showing massive buildings on this side. All right, and it's showing small little houses and lots of areas not developed, etc. Okay, so look, on one hand, it can be a farming and area in a city, all right, but we have to put it into the context of the questions also. Okay, but also it could be showing you high developed countries with massive infrastructure and poorer countries which are more rural or farming orientated, etc. Okay, compared to this. Can you see we can read into it? Now let's look at the questions. All right. First, it says define the concept development. All right. Learners, I want to say from the outset, from grade 9, get in the habit of writing full definitions. All right, full definitions. Later on, you'll realize the definition is for 1 mark, but you must give a full definition. People setting your exam papers say this is an easy question because it comes straight from your notes. Okay, so a full definition. I've taken, and most of it comes straight from your uh, notes that you get. Okay, so as long as you understand it, you learn it, you can apply it, you got no problem with this question. So I just want to go through that and look at what it says here. Process is the change. Okay, is a process that, sorry, is a process of change that affects people's lives, and it may involve improvement in the quality of life. All right. If you wrote that, you are fine. Okay. What if I change the words, learners? And I want to tell you something about that because you go right towards your grade 12 exams. In geography, you don't just learn the words of. Okay. You must make sense of it. You can change the words as long as the meaning of the concept is still correct. So let's look at this process of change that affects people's lives, and it may involve improvement in the quality of life. If I said development is making a change in people's lives or making a change in the quality of people's lives, all right, that could also be fine. Okay, it's a process of change, making a difference in the quality of life of people or the quality of people's lives, then it's still fine. Okay, because you added the both things, making a change in people's lives regarding the quality. Can you see it? I'll say that one more time. It's a process of change that affects the quality of people's lives. Fine. It answers the question. All right. Can you see it? If you want to be more advanced, that positively affects the quality of people's lives. Can you see I've taken a longer one and made it a bit shorter? Okay. You understand that? So we can change words. All right. As long as the main things were there. The main things were people's lives and the words quality of life. Okay, those were the main words. If it's included, it is fine. Okay, so let's go on. And I want to look, I'm skipping the wrong slide. What is the sketch telling us about development? across the world. Notice what the examiner has done. He's brought the sketch to development. That's what he's emphasized, or she has emphasized. I don't want to be a chauvinist. He or she has emphasized. Okay, so in this case, you look at this and see, whoa, there's part of the world that is highly developed and part of the world that not be developed so much. So what is the message telling us? That not all parts of the world are developed the same. You understand? Some places are less developed, some places are more developed around that concept. You understand? And you can use various things. It's still fine as long as you bring out the meaning of what this little sketch is telling you. Okay, that some places are highly developed, some places are poorly developed. Some places have all the resources for developing, you understand, and the quality of life is higher. Some places the quality of life is poorer or lower. That's still fine as long as you identify it there. Okay, then let's look at the next one. Explain the difference between economic and social aspects of development. Explain the difference between economic and social aspects of development. All right. So I got the little, I brought it through here straight from the notes. We said, wealth of a country and focus on improving economic, social, political and social well-being. Okay, so if I look at that, that was your economic explanation. Then investing in the people in order to improve their well-being and quality of life. All right, you know the both. I'd like you, okay, when you're doing this, is to say, is the wealth of the country focus on improving economic, political, social well-being of people where, and I'm writing it, and my writing is terrible, and I'm trying to say it where. I'm not doing that bad. I'm wasting your data also. Okay, where as, and I want to write this down. Whereas, you understand? So I said economic, and I must write economic at the beginning, eh? Yeah, I must put down economic. I'm just going to put it in short. Okay, that's another thing I wanted to tell you. And there and here, I'm going to put it social. I'm just putting it in short. Now, I've got the answer. So this is a simple answer. All right, but you watch out, and these are the common errors. Okay, social, all right, aspect is dealing with the wealth of the country and focus on improving political and social well-being of the people. So I added the word social. Economic is the wealth of the country focusing on improving the economic and political and social well-being of the people, whereas social aspect is investing in the people in order to improve their well-being and quality of life. Can you see, dear learners? This is how you answer. All right. And we find in many cases, and I'm sure if your teachers are watching this, they're shaking their heads. You leave out that. You say, it's wealth of the country, and whereas other one is investing in people. We don't know which one is social or economic. All right. And then sometimes we leave out the whereas, you don't do a comparison. So remember that, and it will work in all your grades, in all your subjects. Okay, we've got that. Let's get back to the questions. All right. State two examples of economic development. Now, everything dealing with that, wealth, etc. Okay, I can say greater employment. You understand? For the people of the country, increasing the employment, that's economic development. I know it can also be social development when people are employed. All right. Second thing, increasing manufacturing in the country. Okay, that's another example of economic development because more products are produced. Okay, indirectly it's affecting employment. More products are sold, more money coming into the country if it's sold overseas, more taxes. So it has to have that economic, that wealth aspect to it. All right. And then I said, explain two examples or state two examples of social development. All right. We can talk easily having better schools for learners, better university conditions where there's schooling for all children. Universities are affordable for all learners who qualify. Better health facilities, all right. Better hospitals with all the facilities that people don't have to wait in long lines. You understand? That is social development. Now, what am I doing here? Okay, I said two examples. And remember, learners, if you just wrote employment, what does it tell us? Nothing. It's not really development. You understand? But we say increasing employment for the people. That is an economic development. Okay, we say hospitals, building hospitals, all right, so that more people can be cared for health wise, building more schools so that all learners can get into school or more learners can get into school. That is social development. All right, learners. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson on development. All right. Uh, uh, we'll carry on with lessons in the future. We'll talk more about development in our future lessons. All right. So, all the best. I know this most probably will be the first lesson for many of you coming back. You understand. So, all the best, learners. Goodbye.